Welcome, everybody, to our June meeting for Maverick Advanced Toastmasters Online. We are an advanced Toastmasters club which supports Maverick leaders in creating greater impact by providing advanced feedback on online presentations and leadership skills, and discovering what it means to be out-of-the-box, innovative leaders. Please welcome our Toastmaster for the meeting, Diamond Debbie Lindsay.
Everyone, welcome fellow Toastmasters, Maverick members, and imaginary guests. We have a fun-filled evening scheduled for you today. I am Diamond Debbie, your Toastmaster of the day, and today's theme is Great Dads Inspire Great Leaders. What helps us become a great dad, and why is that important in leadership? Hold on, it's my definition. There it is. Okay. Great dads lead by example, transforming early life lessons into the foundations of strong leadership. They teach patience, empathy, and accountability, creating the blueprint that empowers others to succeed and fosters trust within any team or organization. And we'll give some more details throughout the meeting. But think about that because Father's Day is around the corner on Sunday, June 21st. Today, we have a wonderful array of people helping us with the roles. We'll introduce our Harkmaster first, and that is Dale Force.
Hello, as Harkmaster, I will be recording various things along the meeting and the speeches and table topics and such. It will be asking questions about them. So pay attention so you can answer them and not look like you fell asleep during the meeting. Back to you, Joseph.
Thank you. Thank you, Dale. We'll be very lively and awake towards the entire time. Next, I'm going to introduce the grammarian, all-counter, and word master, which is me. Today's word of the day is love. Love is an intense emotion of deep affection, attachment, and devotion. It's an act of empathy and commitment that prioritizes the well-being and happiness of another. There are several different types of love. There's romantic love, characterized by passion, sexual attraction, and deep emotional bonding. Familiar love, a deeply ingrained instinctual affection and care for relatives and children. Platonic love, a profound, unselfish friendship built on mutual trust, admiration, and shared interests. Self-love, the appreciation and regard of one's own well-being and happiness. And universal love, a broad, benevolent concern for all humanity, nature, or animals. This is a noun in this instance, but if you want to use it as a verb, I will also consider it for the word of love as our word of the day in celebration of Father's Day. I will put that in the chat for you. My other roles as grammarian and all-counter is to count the crutch words, ahs, ums, any other words that distract us from the main meaning of our message. And of course, we want to look for great uses of the English language and grammar, and I will make note of that also. Moving on, I'd like to introduce our timer, Gail Thiessen.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Now, Lori's speech is 4 to 6 minutes, and the timing for that will be the green light. I will show the green light at 4 minutes, the yellow light at 5 minutes, and the red light at 6 minutes, and it will remain on for the rest of the time. For table topics, those are 1 to 2 minutes. I will show the green light at 1 minute. Okay, there we go. The yellow light at 1.5 minutes, and the red light at 2 minutes, and it will stay on for the rest of the table topic. For the speech evaluation, I'm sorry, for Dinesh's speech, that's 5 to 7 minutes. I will show the green light at 5 minutes, the yellow light at 6 minutes, and the red light will remain on starting at 7 minutes until the end of the speech. For speech evaluations, they're 2 to 3 minutes. For them, I will turn the green light on at 2 minutes, the yellow light on at 2.5 minutes, and the red light on at 3 minutes, and it will remain on until the evaluator is done speaking. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Gail. Good use of the light. I'm just curious, do we know who won that light in the auction from the district conference?
Yes, I had an email because the name wasn't announced at the conference, but Susan Cooper from Chardon Toastmasters emailed to say that she'd won the timing light at the conference. And that club actually needed a
Awesome.
timing light. They wanted to buy one from me, so, well, now they don't have to.
Perfect. Okay. Good. Next, I'd like to introduce our first speaker of the night. Her name is Lori Collerman. She's working on Pathways Presentation Mastery, the Level 1 Icebreaker, which is 4 to 6 minutes. Project title is How I Got Here. This is Lori's first speech with us at MATO. Let's introduce her one more time. Lori Collerman, How I Got Here, Lori Collerman.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, and I wish you were here a guest. How I got here. Where is here? Might be the first thing coming to your mind. Here is Toastmasters. So I've got 3 stories to tell you about my journey to getting to Toastmasters. It all began, first story. I was 10 years old. I had just bought my $2 ticket in a fundraiser that my elementary school was having. And I was looking at the ticket number 6126 and walking down the hall. Some days later, they did the draw, the prize draw of the winning ticket. The prize was going to be the opportunity for you to throw a pie of your choice at the principal. So everyone was really excited, especially the boys. They were particularly excited about this coming up. And I was not excited at all. I was just doing it because every single child in the school was paying their $2 because it was a very important charity. So the day came, the ticket was drawn, and I was looking at my ticket number, and the announcement went over the PA, 6126. And I looked down at my ticket, 6126. And I looked up, and I was just figuring out that I had won when a bunch of people surrounding me started screaming, "It's you, it's you." For the next several days prior to the shopping spree to pick out the pie, I went from an extraordinarily shy, quiet, reserved, introverted child to the most popular child in the school. Boys were coming up to me, offering me money for my ticket. Girls were coming up to me, offering me advice on what pie to pick out. In the end, I took their advice because I'd never eaten pie in my life. I didn't even know what kind of pie to pick. So the advice was to pick a lemon meringue pie. And the instructions, which came more from the boys than the girls, was on how to throw the pie, to push into his face and turn back and forth while pushing slightly upward, which I had no idea why they were asking me to push upward. I thought that was a bit odd. I never said a word. The day came for shopping. The principal, who was about 6'4", and of course I was the shortest child in the class in my grade, so this was interesting, took me to shopping at a grocery store, and I picked out the lemon meringue pie, and he said, "Are you sure that's the one you want?" And I just looked up at him with a big smile, yes. And off we went, paid for it. The day came of the assembly. This is the assembly in front of 444 elementary school children who were all super excited. By the way, I did not sell my ticket. I'm sure you figured that out by now. And the day came and the vice principal gave me emphatic, very highly emphasized instructions. Do not throw the pie. Do not turn the pie. Do not push the pie upward. And I remember thinking to myself, why is he saying not to push the pie upward, not to turn the pie, when all the boys told me to do exactly that? I was like really curious. I was thinking, why? And I was such a shy, quiet, well-behaved child. But in that moment, I became a rebellious child. And so when the moment came, I pushed the pie, I turned the pie, and I pushed the pie up. Just slightly, not too much, about an inch and a half. And as I pushed it up, I saw his hair move upward with it. And in that moment, I realized exactly why, because my own father had one as well. The man, the principal, had a toupee. I stopped. Everything was over. The kids were laughing and clapping, and everyone was great. The vice principal didn't say a word to me. I did not get into trouble. Nobody got mad at me. The next day, everything went back to normal, but something had changed in me. Hearing all of those children laugh and giggle at something I did while up on stage sparked something for me. It was my first experience of a real audience. The second story, it's a little shorter. In high school, when I was in grade 11, I was bribed by my teacher to join the debating team. I was still terrified of anything in public. I had the spark inside, but I was still terrified, extremely shy, etc. I think he knew that. He bribed me with an A. He said, "I'll give you an A if you join the debating club." I joined with my best friend. To make a long story short, I entered, I developed speeches, I participated, I got coached by my teacher. And even though I was incredibly nervous and shaking and felt sick to my stomach, I went through with the debate and we won third place in our Burnaby Cup debate tournament. This increased my spark for the audience, my spark for speaking, and it increased my knowledge and understanding of giving a speech, and that it didn't have to be a horrifying experience. Finally, the third story. In university, I had to give a lot of presentations. I was doing my degree in English, and for some reason, all of the English classes not only required essays, they required presentations. So I was complaining to my boyfriend at the time of how sick I felt every time I had to give one of these presentations. I could do them. I could do them well enough to get a decent enough grade on it, but it was just such an awful experience. And so he happened to be a member of Toastmasters. And so he asked me to come to one of his meetings as a guest. And at the first meeting, I enjoyed the whole meeting. They asked me at the end, "What did you think?" I said, "Good." One word was all I could manage. Second time, the following week, my boyfriend was giving a speech. He wanted me to come and see him. So I went. Exact same thing happened. Listened to everything, very enjoyable. Asked me what I thought. I said, good. Then following week, my boyfriend talked me into coming back. I didn't want to, but he talked me into it. And so I went. And at the end of the meeting, they said, well, this is the third time you've been here. Would you like to join? And I said, this. And my boyfriend was doing this. So after a little discussion, I finally agreed to join. And that's how I got to Toastmasters. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Lori, for that wonderful journey, how you got here to Toastmasters. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Help me remind me, I'm in several clubs. Do we do a minute for the evaluator to put their thoughts down, or we continue on?
We just move on.
Okay. We are going to move on then to our second speaker. Our second speaker is Dinesh Desai. He is working on Pathways Persuasive Influence Level 3. Elective Connect with Storytelling. It's 5 to 7 minutes. Let's welcome Dinesh Desai. When you speak to the soul, not just the mind. When you speak to the soul, not just the mind. Dinesh Desai.
Thank you. Please start. Let me start again. Yesterday, I spoke in a meeting. I was confident. My speech was quite powerful. It was concise, to the point, quite interesting, but still, something was missing. I could see the listeners didn't get my speech below their head. I found that it stuck in their head. It didn't penetrate it from their head to their heart. Why so? And you too must have experienced many a time in any conversation, people do listen to you, but they don't agree. One of the reasons is we are missing a small ingredient in it, and that is a storytelling, if possible, with a pinch of emotion in it. Let me share 3 simple examples of this storytelling. Once upon a time, Lord Krishna was talking to his lover, Radha. He said, "Oh Radhe, you are the one who love me so much, but you never asked me to marry. Why didn't you marry me?" Listening to him, Radha smiled, looked at Krishna and said, "Oh Krishna, I am Saul, you are a Saul. I am a Saul in you and you are a Saul in me. I am a pinch of salt in your soul, and when you are in me, how can I marry myself?" Simple conversation, but how powerful. Today, even after 5,000 years, this story is still remembered by the people. Let me give you a second example. Lord Martin King Luther, who once said, "I have a dream." People realized it. They could see their dream in his eyes. They could see their future in his eyes. Why? Because one single sentence was holding emotion as well as a story. Third example, when the job Steve came out with his mobile phone and said, "Don't you want to have to talk yourself with your near and dear?" then here is the instrument which has got internet. Don't you want to have your memories filled inside? Here is an inbuilt camera in it. Don't you want to dance? Don't you want to feel yourself to be in heaven? Then here is a music inside. And his mobile got sold. So this is the power of emotion. This is the power of storytelling. Next time when you, even in your simple conversation or in a business speech or even your office talk or even anywhere you are talking with your near and dear, think of involving a small story or emotion. Why? Don't you know the story? Remember your grandmother when spoke. Did she use PowerPoint presentation? Perhaps no. But still, she could paint whole world in your mind. How could she do it? Simple, by storytelling. That you too can do it. Think of doing it. Now what happens? Most of the time we think that our speech should have PowerPoint presentation, lots of information, jugglery of words. Not only that, it should have pie chart, it should have statistics, it should have numbers. Not necessary. A small pinch of emotion will help you. It will work like a peanut butter. It will slip from your head to the heart. And that is what required. That is what we need as on today. You may have money, you may have bungalow, you may have a car, you may have knowledge, you may have information, you may have experience. But if you can't reach the people's heart, what is the meaning of all those things? And that you can do just by simple adding ingredient. And what is that? Emotion. That too with storytelling. Just think of, do it. Why so? Remember, story helps you to sell meaning, not the material. You can sell meaning through your story. Remember, story helps you to sell your emotions, not only the information. That is the power in a story. Because people don't buy what you do. I repeat, people don't buy what you do. They buy how you make them feel. They buy how you make them feel. And when you do so, then what happens? You will find that your words will no longer just reach people's ears. No, it will reach their soul. And that is what we need. Once again, I repeat, when you pause, I understand it is not the silence, it is the emphasis. So when you are adding your story with pause in your speech, it helps you to penetrate your words inside. When you project your story, it is not shouting, it is breathing. It is breathing your message in others' mind. And when you say this, any speech or any conversation with story, you build bridges. And that is how you connect. That is how you make connection. Next time, try it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dinesh, for those wonderful words of wisdom. We appreciate that all, and remember to speak from your soul. We are going to move on from the formal presentations to the impromptu speaking part of our meeting today. Let me welcome our table topics master, Sandra Orlin.
Hey, friends. Wow. What a great showcase of speeches today. Let's see if I could do this here. There we are. I have a number of special table topics for you on our theme of Father's Day, focusing on the love we might have for others, even though we might not be a father. I'm not a father, but some of you might not be fathers, but you might be fathers in other ways. I will be encouraging participants to engage with table topics today. Dale, are you ready for your table topic?
Yes.
Great. Dale, would you share one lesson you learned from a father figure that still shapes your leadership today? Share one lesson from a father figure that you've learned that still shapes your leadership today.
Ah, that's interesting. Well, one interest is that I always tell my daughters I love them when we talk to them. And that was a lesson I learned from my father, who it is one of the best birthday gifts I ever received, was when he told me he loved me on my 40th birthday for the first time. So it is one thing that I do very much that my daughters know that I love them. And I would say that is one of the most important lessons I learned there from a father figure. My thesis advisor did do one where I found out that he was proud of my work with him, even though I never managed to finish my thesis and complete it. He actually had a lot of respect for me and the work I had done on it. So those, I think those are the biggest things there. And for some reason, I cannot see the L. But I think that'll be in my speech.
Thank you so much, Dale, for sharing an example that you've learned. And you've probably learned to say I love you a lot sooner than 40 years old, I hear and understand. And in fact,
Those
often
aren't
and
40 yet, that's
frequent.
true.
I think it's also could be the generation. I don't think that's a tough one. Men in those age didn't show a whole lot of emotion or express it. So good for you that he shared it at 40. Doug Thiessen, I have a topic for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
What is the most surprising piece of advice a father or a mentor gave you? What is the most surprising piece of advice a father or mentor gave you?
The most surprising piece of advice. Well, I think certainly the most surprising piece of advice that my father gave to me is not necessarily one that was terribly useful advice, but it was memorable. It was surprising. He said, "You can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose." And there's a lot of truth to that, but fortunately, I don't really need to apply it very often. Now, I think a better piece of advice, one that sticks with me, is from a friend of mine. And it was just a comment that he'd made. He doesn't even remember it happening because we were just chatting and he made a comment. But I remembered it because he said, optimism or pessimism, either way, you're deluding yourself. So you might as well think positively. And at the time, I was a much more negative person. I was much more pessimistic. But I took that to heart, and it kind of opened my mind. And I think from then on, I certainly strove to be more optimistic because I'd always remember it as a great piece of advice, especially when it wasn't even given as advice. Back to you.
Thank you, Doug. I've heard the you could pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but then I also heard but you can't rub it on your friend's sleeve. And that's also quite a lovely piece of advice. Thank you for sharing that most surprising piece of advice, Doug. Diamond Debbie, would you take a topic?
I will be happy to.
Wonderful. Describe a father figure who modeled courage or integrity and how it influenced you. Describe a father figure who modeled courage or integrity and how it influenced you.
I would consider I was very lucky I had a father and I had one paternal grandfather, and let's talk about my paternal grandfather on my dad's side. His name was Frank. He was super funny. He loved jokes. If he was living in this era, we would call them dad jokes, but he always made you laugh, and we loved him for that. However, he did more than just give us love. He helped me get my first job. I was in high school looking for a summer job. He golfed with the owner of the local Dairy Queen in Avon Lake, Ohio, in Northern Ohio. And he just put a word in to Mr. Kennedy. And next thing I know, I was filling an application, doing a quick interview on site, and got hired for the summer. Oh, he showed his love in many ways, but one of those was making sure I had a good first job. I was a DQ girl, and I still can make the little DQ curl today when I have a machine available. I still love going to DQ on my favorites. Right now, it is I still love the vanilla cone dipped in cherry. That's still my favorite. And, my grandfather, he was easy to love. He was a great father figure for us all. He was very helpful in making sure I started off in a good position in my lifelong career of jobs and other opportunities. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
I love that you shared that story because what a strong father figure to ensure that you have a great first job experience. And now we know she has a hidden talent of making those curly cues on any kind of Sunday. So, challenge accepted to find a ice soft serve dispenser. Toastmaster Rick Weiner, will you take a table topic?
Of course.
Wonderful. Our theme today is Father's Day. For you, I have this special table topic. What legacy do you hope to pass on to the next generation? What legacy do you hope to pass on to the next generation? And the word of the day is love.
Well, I love to answer that particular question because I think that's a very important question for a dad. Something I learned from my dad, and I work at teaching this to my children since they were born, is to love and respect others, no matter who they are. I'll never forget this particular lesson. My father had a small store, and we're Jewish, obviously, and a priest came in, and he addressed the priest as father. He was treating him very nicely. And the priest left, and I said, Dad, we're Jewish. Why would you call him father? Well, my dad laid me out in lavender. He said, because you respect everybody. That's his proper title. You will treat him with love and respect. And that was a very strong lesson to me as a young man. I was a young teenager, I believe. I never forgot that. So I always try to teach my children to really care about others, see somebody in need, help them, because you never know where you're going to be. And maybe someday you'll be the one in need. Always be there loving and supporting everybody you can. And that's something I try to do in my life. And I know my son has learned to do that. Some of the others, well, I have a daughter who works with young children, and she does that all the time. And she's an advocate for them. So it's important. So there we go. It's important to care. And I think that would be a great legacy. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Rick Weiner. I think that you've expressed that love continues past onto your legacy by showing your caring. And I think you've given us this legacy as well, even though you're not my father or my rabbi. I hope you're still my Toastmasters friend, and we'll all care for one another.
Thank
Do
you.
we have time for a few more table topics?
Just one more.
Gail Thiessen, can you take a table topic? Because who's our left has, all right. Is someone able
Yes.
to time for Gail, or is she taming herself?
I can time myself.
Wonderful. Giving you, okay, Gail, are you ready?
Mhm.
Your table topic is, what family or community tradition shaped your values? What family or community tradition shaped your values?
Yeah, I just gotta spend a minute. Okay, what family or community tradition shaped my values? Well, I liked the tradition that my parents always took us children out to eat. We did that every weekend, every Saturday and Sunday. We also went to a special place for our birthdays or had a special birthday party. But when we got older, we went to a special place for lunch or dinner or whatever. And they showed through treating us to meals, the importance of showing love to your family members, through actions like taking them out to eat. And that taught me a lot about family relationships. And now we take our family members, well, the ones that are local anyway, we take my dad out to eat, Doug and I, and he takes us out to eat for special occasions of ours. And that reminds me that Father's Day is coming up. Yeah, so we'll be taking him out to eat for Father's Day. And so they taught me to show my love, or my parents taught me to show my love by doing things for others and showing that you appreciate them. So that was a family tradition, taking us out to a meal. And usually it was dinner to show your love. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you so much, Gail. That was wonderful to help us understand how taking others out for their special days can help bring joy and love and comfort. Thank you for sharing your table topic. That wraps up table topics, friends. I turn it back over to our Toastmaster of the Day, Diamond Debbie.
Great job, Table Topics Master Sandra. It was a lot of fun to hear different versions about father and fatherhood and father figures during this time. We're going to keep the ball rolling by going into the listening and learning mode of the meeting, where I'd like to introduce our general evaluator who will introduce the speech evaluators for us. And that's Gail Thiessen. Gail.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Now, the first thing I will do as speech evaluator is I will call upon the evaluator of Lori Collerman's speech, and that is Doug Thiessen. Please welcome Doug.
Thank you, Gail. Good evening again, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Lori. Lori, I loved your speech. It was great to hear you giving a speech again, because it's been a long time. Lori has been a Toastmaster for many years, but having taken a break, she is finally getting started with Pathways. And I think that's awesome. So Lori opened her speech with a fun question. How did I get here and where is here? And I thought that was great. It was funny, and of course here is Toastmasters. So I thought that was a great opening. It catches our attention, it gives us a bit of a laugh, and gets us engaged. So that was nicely done. And then she gave us 3 stories of her progression into joining a Toastmasters club, all of which worked very well. I really enjoyed the story of winning that pie throw in school. It was enjoyable. All the stories had some great descriptions, really painted the picture well, and those were nicely done. She really had some great detail in developing the story of throwing the pie. Made it very enjoyable. The other 2 stories were definitely shorter, but they included great progression in moving toward public speaking in Toastmasters, so that was great. The main area that I would want to suggest you watch a bit is time management. Because, well, frankly, the light was red when Lori started her 3rd story. So there wasn't much time for that one. Frankly, there wasn't any time for it. And so that's something that we all got to watch out for. I think probably one area that you could sort of adjust, the descriptions were great, but they definitely do take some time as you're providing that level of detail. So it's something that kind of needs a little bit better balance, I think. And an area that I could probably challenge you on in terms of speaking is being mindful of the frame of the video here because we're online. You had some great gestures when we could see them, but a lot of the gestures tended to flow outside of the frame, and when we can't see your hands, they don't provide as good of a gesture. Overall, though, I love the speech. It was great to listen to you and hear your stories on how you got here. Now I will open the screen or the session to our round robin evaluation. And we'll take 4 minutes on that to get any feedback from other Toastmasters. So who would like to? Sandra, I saw your hand, then we'll do Debbie.
Thank you, Doug. Lori, I loved your speech. I love the humor. And what was so great about your stories is that surprise element. For all of us that share stories, if we can get a surprise, that brings a little bit more laughs to our content. And it was so surprising because we didn't expect to hear about a toupee. Again, really great job. I echo what Doug was saying. Time management is important. And perhaps I know this was just a introduction speech to you as an icebreaker. Always consider how you could weave in a call to action of how we might be thinking about our journeys, perhaps where we've been. Maybe we should recollect how we got here. And that would be a great encouraging point for us. Thank you. Great job, Lori.
Thank you, Sandra and Debbie. I'd seen your hand up.
Thank you. Lori, you did an awesome job. I loved your pauses. They were purposeful and dramatic at the right time. You kept us on the on the edge of our seats because we wanted to know what's going on. Where's this leading to? Lots of anticipation. You are very good about drawing out the anticipation. I'll give it back to Doug Thiessen now.
Thank you, Debbie. Anyone else like to add some feedback? Gail.
Lori, I really loved your humor, especially about, how the people were describing the exact mechanics of how to throw the pie in the principal's face. I wasn't expecting that one. But that was really funny, and you had humor in other areas of your speech too. So good job with that. Back to you, Doug.
Thank you, Gail. Dale, did you have any comments?
Not really. I was sort of being Harkmaster and preparing questions.
Right. Okay. And Rick, did you want to add anything?
Considering I missed the speech, I would say that I think the speech was fantastic. I really enjoyed another meeting. That's right. No, sorry, I got nothing else to add.
Thanks, Rick. Back to you then, Gail.
Thank you, Doug. Okay, I'll write down the round robin time now. Okay, now I will call upon Sandra to evaluate Dinesh's speech. So please welcome Sandra.
Thank you so much, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and especially Dinesh. I connected with Dinesh before his speech to hear what his goals were of his speech. I was accused of being the Toastmasters police. But this is only for your growth and not necessarily to tell you what's right or wrong. I want to know what you're looking for. This is a speech storytelling speech project from that elective. And I can say from this generic view of your feedback, I feel like of emotion to add into our speeches. First, you gave us 3 stories and how they connected. I would like to hear a little bit more about how they may have connected maybe in your culture. We are familiar from the United States, we are familiar with Martin Luther King. I think you had said Martin King Luther. It's Martin Luther King Jr. of his I Have a Dream speech. We're very familiar with it. So I would encourage you, maybe pull out one more statement perhaps of why that I Have a Dream might be emotional. You did give us clues around how he delivered that speech with pausing and projection and how that was so impactful for the audience. And the third one around heaven and music, that was a great illustration of a mobile phone getting sold and You're missing your phone now. You don't have your music anymore. You did wrap it up really nicely and give us a call to action close to the middle of the end of your speech of next time to talk, think about adding a small story of emotion. That was great. And then you continued with your conclusion a little bit longer with taking that small pinch of emotion. And I would encourage perhaps it might be a little bit dash or wedge of emotion, perhaps a little, get your size of emotion. So we add it in to add the spice to make it memorable. And I think that was what you were alluding to, is that we need as storytellers to reach the soul, to go from head to heart quickly. So we are memorable. I loved your speech. You gave great pausing and projection. There were some words I couldn't hear, maybe it was my connection, but if long enough I waited for the definition of how you described it, it came clear to me what you were saying. And I believe your last call to action was next time, try it. So I encourage everyone here, next time, try to bring that little bit of emotion into our evaluation table topics or even our speech. Thank you, Gail. Now continue to run the for 4 minutes. I don't know if Rick was there. Yes, Lori, and then Doug.
Okay, I'd like to comment on all of the presentation aspects, the technical aspects. So for example, he did have great hand gestures. I could easily see he did what I needed to do. And he did it very well and frequently throughout his presentation. And they were large and intentional kinds of gestures. So that was well done. His vocal expression was excellent for online in particular. He spoke with emphasis, with clarity, clarity of emphasis and vocal variety, right? Vocal expression. So there were some loud, some soft, some slightly faster, slightly slower. There were good variations in the technique. His structure was also very clearly organized with the opening, the body, and the conclusion. Although the conclusion was probably slightly longer than necessary, sometimes it's more powerful to have a shorter but more pointed kind of conclusion. And since it was so well constructed and so well written, I think that's really the only point of improvement that I could see in how he's written and structured his presentation, or would be just a tiny bit shorter. What is the word? Tighter.
Tighter.
Say the same thing with less words. That's what it is. Yeah. Overall, an excellent speech, very well delivered.
I agree. Thank you, Lori. And now Doug Thiessen will provide additional feedback.
Right. Dinesh, I love the speech too. It was great. I think you had a really strong message on using story and emotion to connect to people, and you did that very well. I especially liked when you asked, "Did your grandmother use PowerPoint?" I thought that captured a great image, and of course she didn't. She used story and emotion. So that was a great emphasis on your overall point. That was nicely done. And to reiterate what Lori was saying, yeah, you were very visible. Your gestures were visible because I noticed you were standing and stepped back a bit from the camera. And that is a really effective thing to do when you're giving a speech on camera. So nicely done. Back to you.
Thank you, Doug. I also agreed. Very good. Any other feedback for Dinesh's speech?
Yeah, I like
Gail.
Yes, Dinesh, I really liked how you introduced your speech about how people won't remember all the facts and figures, you said, but they will remember the feelings that they had from the stories. So I think that was a very good way to introduce it. Back to you, Sandra.
Thank you, Gail. Also, well done. Very good. Oh, we're agreeing. We're at 4 minutes. Thank you so much, fellow Toastmasters, for such great feedback for Dinesh's speech. Back to you, Gail.
Thank you, Sandra. Next, I will call upon our table topics evaluator. And who is that going to be? I didn't catch who it was. Oh, Dale. Please welcome Dale to evaluate table topics.
All right. Well, Sandra, first off, you chose some very good topics on the subject of fatherhood and love. I won't really give any comments on mine about my speech because, well, that kind of is sort of pretty humble bragging at best. But Doug, I certainly like the way you had included jokes in your speech, and there's very interesting comments there. You're very good as a joke master, even though you don't have one. Diamond Debbie was very interesting, even that you were encouraged to go to work when you were in high school, which I was not encouraged, to the extent of not allowed. But in how you managed to get your job with your grandfather's help. Rich, a very good speech on the legacy you want to achieve and the lesson you were taught by your father and have hoped to pass on to your children. And you feel you have done that quite well on doing that. And Gail, that was a very interesting discussion on the family traditions that continue on in your family. Although it's hard to take your daughter out for dinner nowadays. And I think that will glad you do it. They were all very interesting questions describing lessons learned from your father, this advice on encouraging integrity, lessons encouraging integrity, legacy, and family traditions. And I will turn it back over to our general evaluator.
Thank you, Dale. Now we have our timer, which is me. So I will give you the timing information. Lori, your speech went overtime, especially for what an icebreaker is. I had 7:59. Maybe it was more like 6:59. I wrote 7:59, but it was longer than it was definitely longer than an icebreaker should be. The round robin was, oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking about the evaluations. Dale, Dinesh, your speech was 7 minutes and 15 seconds. It would have been it was within the time for allowing the extra 30 minutes that you would in a contest. So you were actually within time. So good job there. For table topics, Dale, yours was 1 minute and 29 seconds. Doug, your table topic was 1 minute and 30 seconds. Diamond Debbie, yours was 1 minute and 57 seconds, just about the 2 minutes. Rick, yours was 1 minute and 52 seconds. And mine was 1 minute and 55 seconds. For speech evaluations, Doug, your evaluation of Lori's speech was 3 minutes and 10 seconds. That was technically within time. allowing up to 3.5 minutes. The round robin was 3 minutes and 5 seconds. For Sandra, your evaluation was 3 minutes exactly of Dinesh's speech. And the round robin was 3 minutes and 21 seconds. Back to myself as the general evaluator. Next, I would like to invite our Hark Master, Dale Force, up to conduct his quiz. Please welcome Dale.
Grammarian, I'll counter word.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay. Gail, I'll go first as I'll counter grammarian word of the day, master.
Okay.
First, for Dale, use the word of the day. Everything else was clean. Gail, you had a smattering of saws, ands, but you used the word of the day at least 4 times. Couple of Xerox or repeats and getting those sentences structured there. So just take your time. Pause when you need to. Take a break. Breathe. Get some oxygen to the brain. You'll be just fine. Sandra, just one and she was the champion of the word of the day with 7 occasions. Dinesh, you were clean, but I didn't hear the word of the day from you. If I did not record it properly, let me know. Lori, you also had a smattering of so, and ands, and you used the word of the day, 1 okay, and 1 instance of a Xerox repeat word. Of course, my clutch words were all perfect because I'm today's counter. However, I was able to use love twice. Doug, a so and unnecessary and use the word of the day. Rick, 1 so and 3 instances of the word of the day. Megan didn't get a chance to speak yet, so you were clean, Megan. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Diamond Debbie. Next, we will have up Dale Force, who will conduct our Hark Master quiz. Please welcome Dale.
And we're covering many things here. Which club now has a timing light?
I think that was before the meeting, but that was Chardon Toastmasters.
I think that's Chardon Toastmasters.
Chardon.
All right.
Chardon.
Here. And what did Lori get for debating?
She got an A.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
A.
What did Lori and her boyfriend disagree on?
Joining Toastmasters.
Toastmasters.
Yeah.
What problem did Dinesh have in his presentation today? Or work, I think.
Bringing out the heart of the story.
Yeah.
What does the speech have to reach?
Well,
The
heart
heart.
and soul.
From the head to the heart and soul.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And can someone tell us, what did Doug say was so funny on his lesson advice he had gotten from his father?
Oh, about you can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your friend's nose.
All right. And what is Diamond Debbie's favorite DQ treat?
It was a cherry dipped cone.
Cherry dip, yeah.
With the curly Q.
The DQ
Have to have a
curl.
curly Q. Yeah.
And what story did Rick's father use to teach you about respecting people?
Calling the priest father.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a rabbi
Because
and a
that was
priest
the
walked
title.
into a store and
Got a million of them.
Was the joke I heard recently. A rabbi, a priest, and a minister walk into a store.
Yep.
Part of a joke. And what is Gail's family's tradition?
Going
food.
out for dinner on
Going
special
out for dinner
occasion.
on their special day.
And what area did Doug give Lori to watch out for in her speech?
Timing.
Guys, timing.
Yes.
Too much talking.
All right. And who was the TM police, according to Dinesh?
Oh, Sandra.
Sandra.
She talked to him before his speech. Yeah.
And what was Lori's comment on Denish's speech?
Can you
She
repeat
like
that?
Can you repeat that? I didn't understand what you
What
said.
was Lori's comment on Denish's speech?
she liked
What
the
was
gestures and visibility.
okay?
And
was
vocal
my-
variety.
Yep, right.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
And that was we did very good at answering the Huckmaster's questions.
We're on time.
Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you. Thank you, Dale, for that quiz. Now I will give my general evaluation of the meeting. I thought the meeting went really well. Doug started the meeting just a few minutes late to allow Lori time to set up her presentation. She was having some technical problems, so that was a good idea. Then we got started. I like the theme of the day, Father's Day, and the associated word love. So that was a good idea to link those two together, the Father's Day and the word love. And the speeches were good, I thought. Everybody answered the table topics questions well. Doug, you mentioned good advice as well as the advice from your father about picking your nose. And Debbie, I liked your father's leading you to to a good first job. That was a good answer. And Rick, I liked the advice of respect that you are passing along to the next generation and that your dad passed along to you. Then I talked about eating out with my family. The speech evaluations were good. You both had the positives, then the areas for improvement, and then an overall encouraging statement. And Doug, I like the I liked how you pointed out the time management, because that was pretty much overtime. So good job reminding Lori about that. And there was also some funny comments given during round robin. The comment about that Rick gave was really funny about excellent job. I missed your speech, but excellent job. So I thought that was good. And then our grammarian gave the same advice about to Megan, said, "Oh, your speech was clean." she she didn't speak, so that's one way of your speech remaining clean. So I thought there was good humor in the meeting, and I liked the Heartmaster quiz, Dale, how you included everything, all parts of the meeting in that. That concludes my general evaluation. So now I will turn the meeting back over to our Toastmaster. Please welcome back Diamond Debbie as our Toastmaster.
Good job, Gail, in wrapping up the meeting. I'd like to get back to the theme of the day. Just to remind you, qualities that make a great day seamlessly translate into skills that are needed in a successful organization. They are cultivate trust and stability, lead with empathy, encourage independence, and practice humility. So when you are working or working with others, think about how they exhibit those particular attributes and that what makes them a great leader. Do we have time to go and fill in the roles for next month, and then we'll go to the end of the meeting?
We have time
We can
for
do
some
that.
business, and we have business to conduct. So,
Yes. Do you want me to do that first or afterwards?
oh, you can pass things to me for business.
Okay, you
We
want to
can
take
close
care
the
of the agenda
meeting.
for next month?
That's part of the business. We
Okay,
can close
I
the
will hand it
recording.
off to our club president then.
Thank
Our
you.
father of our club.
Well, I will close the regular
Good one,
portion of
Debbie.
the meeting and stop our recording, and then we will move into club business. So, our meeting is closed, but stay here.